Happy holidays! This is the Urban Domestic Diva, and today is actually the Sunday after Thanksgiving, which means we take stuff like this down and we get into the holiday spirit by putting stuff like this up. And that's what I've been doing for most of the weekend. Today, however, I want to see if I could use techniques similar to this wreath that I made last year and create a wreath for my gate next to the house, which needs to be much bigger. So I was thinking perhaps we could use an upcycled hula hoop and some upcycled t-shirts to create something similar but with bigger presents for the gate next to the house. Let's go take a look and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, we've got a nice big wrought iron gate, and it's been screaming for a wreath for years, and I just haven't been able to find anything with enough presence within my budget. The larger wreaths are pretty expensive. So I also like to upcycle things as well, and I found this beat up hula hoop when I was doing some fall cleanup under the deck. And I thought maybe with some upcycled t-shirts and using some felt flowers like I did on this wreath I created last year, I could make a really nice wreath. So let's give it a shot. So first step is to thicken up our hula hoop, and what I've been doing is wrapping that fiberfill and taping every so often with that packing tape. You don't have to have it completely taped up because we're going to cover it with tied up t-shirts. You just want it so that it kind of stays put. So continue along the whole thing. So I've covered the whole hula hoop with fiberfill, and like I would say every 5 to 7 inches, just where it needed it, I would wrap some packing tape along it. So I took an old t-shirt, and starting at the bottom, I cut all the way up in a spiral so that I actually have one long strip. And we're going to take this strip and we're going to wrap it around our hula hoop right over here. Okay, so I moved kind of all my stuff into a more quieter place in the house because this project's taking a little longer than I expected, and I couldn't really have everything in the kitchen. So I have the whole hula hoop wrapped, and as you can see, it's okay to have some open spaces, but at this point it looks a little bit more like a Halloween wreath than a Christmas wreath, but that's okay because now we're going to add to this and make it look a lot more festive and full. Right now it just looks like a mummy, or I don't know, like a broken arm or something. So so the next step, once it's roughly wrapped with just old white t-shirts, is to go back to your t-shirts and cut roughly like 3-inch to 8-inch to 10-inch strips. Here's a strip right now that I just cut. I would suggest cutting a bunch of them all at once before getting them tied to the hula hoop. So let's get this one tied up first. So you're going to take that first strip, wrap it, and take your rubber band and just, if you want to double it, it's going to be outside, so I think I'm going to double it. And just kind of open up the bow. And you're going to continue doing that all throughout the hoop, filling in places that are kind of open or you're seeing some of the polyfill, And then as you continue to fill, you can take some of the the edges of the bow and tuck them in and tuck them under to kind of just start shaping things as you go. And it's going to be all nice and full, and then we'll work on our our felt flowers. So let's get cutting and rubber banding. So I'm continuing to add little bows, and as I'm having them tied on here, I'm tucking some into a previous bow and, securing it under the rubber band just so that it looks full and fluffy. So continuing on, and as you use the 10-inch strips and fill those, you might want to go back and cut even shorter, skinnier strips to kind of fill in areas that needed a little filling, like over here and over here, so that it just adds more texture and a fuller look to it. But let's finish up with our 8 to 10 strips around, and I'll show you how that's looking. Okay, so we've basically taken all of our t-shirt strips and tied away with rubber bands and created little bows. At points in time, what you could do is not just fluff out your bow like this one right here, but you could also create little, when you do your second rubber band tie, you can tuck in your ends and create bows like this too, which are periodically throughout the wreath. There's another one right there. So you could do your wreath with just those, or if you want a little bit more texture, like what I did, is I just fluffed out my bows and then had a couple that were tucked in. So it's all ready for the rosettes. And I think what I'm going to do is the area where some of the color was coming through on the t-shirts, that's where I'm going to put the flowers to kind of cover that up a little bit. So I will show you next how to make felt rosettes, and we'll glue them onto the wreath. Sorry about that. Okay, so to start with the rosettes, you need squares of felt like this. Actually, this is the last red piece of felt at Joann Fabrics, and it has a funky texture on it, which actually I don't mind so much. I think it'll look cool on the rose. It might make it look, I don't know, as if there's like even little mini petals inside. But at any rate, so you have your square of felt, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut a circle about the size that you want. And it doesn't need to be perfect, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Now I want a couple big rosettes, and then we'll do some little ones, but you kind of need like a central focused area, and then so having like 2 big rosettes being the central focus, and then moving outward with some smaller ones. So you've got this like roughly cut circle, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to do a wavy edge. Do you see what I'm doing there? Do you see that wavy edge? I'm going to wavy, wavy, wavy on the edge right there. And then I'm going to go all the way around. And it doesn't need to be perfect, okay? But when you get to where you started, which I'm almost there. Okay, I'm on where I started, right? I'm going to start moving in. See that? And what you're going to do is you're going to make a giant, almost like you're peeling an apple. Go round and round. You're going to make a spiral, basically. And you're going to make a spiral in a wavy kind of way. Can you see this? I'm not doing a perfect circle. It's a big wavy, looks like a flower petal in a way. And you're going to go around all the way to the middle. when I get to the middle, I kind of make little circular endpoints. So what I have here is this giant wavy coil. Okay, now what happens? I cut kind of an oatmeal colored felt piece and made a slightly bigger one, so we'll see if this one turns out to be a little bit bigger. The start of it's always a little bit tough. I kind of use my finger to start coiling it. And then once things get going, it goes easier. And I cut this one a little bit wider. I'm wrapping this one a little looser. Which should look pretty good. So as you can see, I've been hard at work making lots of flowers, and I have different sizes and different colors, some bigger ones for the focal point, smaller ones. I've also created some simpler flowers that are more like buds. This is a nice thick roll that you can glue kind of on an angle as if it were about to open, and then even just some simple little just simple coils of felt, just little accents, almost like little berries or something like that. Also, it's good to have other accents as well. You can use bells. In fact, I was hoping to use bells. I had them somewhere. I can't seem to find them in my storage bins, but I had a few of these, which are just simple plastic ornaments. Also have ready some ribbon and some leaves. And I've got my glue gun going, and I threw just some old polyfill down just to kind of keep my carpet safe, because the glue gets all over the place. So now we're going to start to glue onto the area of the wreath where I'm going to put the accents. So I have a design in mind, but I'm going to play this kind of by ear too. So kind of need to just tweak as you go. So I know I want a main flower there, so we'll get going with that one. And all you need is a little bit of glue. And just pop it on. Press gently. And then kind of start working around there. Somewhere I have some main flowers. I'm going to create a little clump for that focal point. So I think at this point I have a nice focal area. So now I'm going to start to build outward a little bit. And just bring some flowers up just lightly, all up in there, and maybe a few down in here. Use some of the smaller ones. And some of the accents at this point. And I think we need to have a ribbon somewhere over here. And maybe it's that time. Maybe we should do that right now. So what I was thinking was creating, if I could do this. Maybe something like that. So what we could do, let's put a little glue right there. So as you can see, I'm making little loop-de-loops and just tacking it down with that dab of glue I have. And now, of course, I need a little bit more. So I'm going to make a little kind of gluey, sticky area and continue to if you can see that. And actually, I'm going to let the rest kind of hang down. I like that kind of look. Because the other thing we're going to do is marry that with some white as well. So we're going to do the same thing with the white and let that hang down. I have plenty of that ribbon. So adding more glue. Kind of behind it. So you can see how we kind of lessened things on the edges, had a little bit of symmetry, and as you go up, it kind of lessens up here too. But over here is your main focal point, and that's where we've added that ribbon. So now I think it's time to get it outside and see what we got. So got our wreath, and you just now need to measure your ribbon to tie it off. So have scissors handy. Make sure it's pretty tight. want to put the ribbon up top. So just scoot it up. And there you have it. As you can see, I did add more ribbon along here once I had it up. And you can always tweak. So have glue handy and some extra ribbon once you have it up to tweak and add some things if you need to once you look at it where it needs to go. And hopefully when you do this, it's a much warmer day and it's not snowing. Anyway, happy holidays. Happy crafting.